What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. We are going to be doing another transfer update. Now, it's January, the winter 2019 window is in full swing, so I'm going to bring you the ins and outs and contract news from the latest that's been happening in the last week or so with transfer updates. We've got a lot more videos out, by the way, with transfer updates coming out throughout the rest of January, so make sure you stay tuned and subscribe. Put your push notifications on, press the bell, and be notified when I've uploaded to stay in the loop ASAP. So we're going to crack on with the ins. We're going to be talking about some players. So first up, we're going to be talking about Lukas Hernandez, the centre-back at Atletico Madrid. Now, Mundo Deportivo has said that Manchester City in the summer are thinking about challenging Bayern Munich for his signature. 80 million euro, we're looking at around 70 million pounds plus. That's his release clause, so that's what it'll cost to get him. 22 years old, plays at the left side of centre-back, can also play left-back too. I'm not too sure if that's a position that we need to fill right now. We've got Otamendi, obviously, that can slot into the centre-back role. We might need a left-back. I'm not too sure where we might go in the market, but I'm not too sure that this is the answer. I certainly don't see us spending 70 plus million pounds on a player, but to be honest, I don't see Bayern Munich spending it either, but things may change, so I'll just put that one to the back burner for now, and we'll move on to our next target. Manchester City have been linked for the last few months with Adrien Rabiot of PSG. Now, according to sources in Spain, he is set to sign for Barcelona. That will be a deal that goes through in the summer. It'll be a free contract. Now, there's more to this deal. It will move us on to our next target, which is Frenkie De Jong, because also, according to sources in Spain, they're saying that because Rabiot will be going to Barcelona as part of the agreement, that will see PSG needing a central defensive midfielder, and they're going to replace him with Frenkie De Jong of Ajax. So Barcelona are going to pull out that race because they're going to get Rabiot, and PSG are needing that player, so they're going to leave the path clear for PSG to sign him. And according to Sky Italia too, they're saying that the free deal for Rabiot to go to Barcelona is €9 million a year, and so we're just waiting upon PSG pouncing upon Frenkie De Jong. If Barcelona's out of the water, it means that just Manchester City and PSG remain, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm not hearing anything from Manchester City in terms of Frenkie De Jong. I presume our interest has cooled a little bit. Things might warm up a little bit more, but as far as everyone seems to be concerned, it looks like he's set for PSG, so again, we're going to move that one to the back burner. Now, next up, the Guardian's been reporting that Manchester City are after Sunderland youngster and forward 20-year-old Josh Maja, or Maja, however you say his name. I have no idea how you say his name, but apparently he's rejected a new contract at Sunderland, so I'm assuming his contract's up in the summer, and Manchester City are interested, along with a few other clubs too from the Premier League and Championship. Not sure if I see Manchester City going for this, if I'm honest. We've got enough players in our youth academy to be able to maybe fill in that position if they wished. Players that are out on loan too. We've got players like Lucas Dimitri, who's already in the Championship, for example, playing for Preston. He's not scored any goals for Preston up to the last couple of weeks. Now he's scored 2 goals in the last couple of games that he's played in the Championship. So if he can get firing on all cylinders and end up scoring, 10-15 goals come the end of the season, he'll be in form, and I imagine he'd slot in as Manchester City's attacker instead, and so we won't need to waste wage signing someone else when we've already got players here, if you know what I mean. But we'll wait and see. We'll keep an eye on that deal too. Now, next up, we're dealing with Juventus attacker Paulo Dybala. Now, according to various sources right across Europe, they've narrowed it down. There's 3 clubs that want Paulo Dybala. There's been 3 bids made for Juventus for Paulo Dybala. Manchester City are one. Apparently Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich are the other. Now, apparently Juventus want around €100 million for him, and as we were saying with Lukas Hernandez before, I don't see Man City paying this. Man City like signing younger players, a little bit cheaper players, producing them into very good players whilst not breaking the bank and spending hundreds of millions like other clubs are. Manchester City don't want to sign established players, don't want to sign younger players, hungrier players that want to play for Man City and be able to develop them into world-class players. I'm talking players like Leroy Sané, who they managed to sign, I think, for around, might have been even less than £40 million. Leroy Sané now must be worth at least double that now, you'd think, going off his age and how good he is. And so Manchester City have managed to turn that into a world-class player. Raheem Sterling's another player, signed for £50 million. He must be worth at least, 70-80 million pounds now. And this is what Manchester City like to do when they sign players. Sergio Aguero's another one. We signed him when he was younger. We've managed to produce him into being a world-class striker. And so that's the direction that Manchester City go for. They go for players that that are up and coming, not established. And in my opinion, Paulo Dybala is an established player that requires a high fee. I don't see it. Now, Tutto Sport, they're the one that's saying it's around 100 million euros. I'm just wondering if Juventus are deciding to sell to try and fund through their expensive move that they made for Ronaldo, or I'm wondering that they're trying to get some more money in to try and replace Paulo Dybala with someone that might suit a formation that might suit Cristiano Ronaldo. I can guarantee that Juventus for the next couple of years will build a team around Ronaldo, and they'll look to try and exploit that as much as possible. So Dybala might be on the transfer market. You never know. Let me know what you think of that in the comments below. Would you think Dybala should sign for Manchester City? Would you like Dybala to sign for Manchester City? Or would you rather Man City continue with their transfer process of signing younger players and developing them into better players? Now, next up, we're talking of younger players and developing players. It leaves us to Portugal and Tiago Dantas. Now, in the last transfer update that I provided, Tiago Dantas was flying to Manchester for talks with Manchester City. Now, Record in Portugal, who gave me the source that was saying that he was flying to Manchester, said he's flown to Manchester, landed in Manchester, spoke with Manchester City and had a look around Manchester and Manchester City too, and then he's flown back to Portugal to go and make his decision. And from there, apparently now he's going to be signing a new deal with Benfica instead. And so I'll put that down to he mustn't have fancied the weather, because it's a bit nippy in Manchester at this moment in time. Now, the 18-year-old midfielder feels like he wants to stay in Portugal. I'm reading between the lines here, and by him signing a new deal, I'm putting this down to an issue with feeling a bit uneasy at leaving home. He doesn't want to leave home right now. It's understandable. It's very unsettling moving to a new country, new climate, new people at such a young age too, 18 years old. Some players jump at the opportunity. Some players want to stay around the family. I mean, look at Laporte. It took Laporte a couple of years to commit to coming to Manchester after Man City nearly signed him a couple of seasons ago. Now, from there, I'm presuming that he's deciding, because he's going to sign a new deal with Benfica, he's staying in Portugal, and that's what the issue is, rather than signing for somebody else and him rejecting Manchester City, saying he didn't like Man City's offer or he didn't like Manchester. He's just saying he preferred to be at home than be in Manchester, and committing to such a serious thing as committing to moving to another country, new climates, and like I said, new people too. So it's understandable, so close to getting him, but it looks like that deal will be off and he'll be staying at Benfica. I hold no personal vendettas against him or anything, or saying, if some buts or it wasn't to be or anything. I wish Tiago Dantas, if he does stay at Benfica, all the best. You never know. Manchester City might step up their interest in a season or two's time and sign him if he ends up proving to be a big success, and he might feel himself a little bit more mature and the right time for him to move. I don't know what's going through his head. I imagine we'll get more developments on that over the coming days, so I'll keep you up to date in the next transfer update on that. We'll move on to the outs now, and first up, we're dealing with Anthony Caceres. Melbourne City have freed up their space in their roster by releasing him from his loan with themselves from Manchester City, and from there he's joined Sydney FC instead on loan. Why he's still at Manchester City and why we're still paying for him and loaning him, I have no idea. It's far beyond me. It's weird. It's really strange. It really is. All to do with the City Football Group, but it's weird, trust me. Next up, we're dealing with Yangel Herrera. He's attracted interest from Spain this January for a loan move, according to ESPN. I don't know if he's going to be Girona or not, or whether it's going to be another club in Spain. We'll keep an eye on that, but apparently he may well be set for a loan move to Spain. We're going to move on to Brahim Diaz now. We've already dealt with a separate video on Brahim Diaz and the transfer deal, so go and check that out. I'll leave a link to that at the end of this video. But Brahim Diaz is signed for Real Madrid now. £15.5 million according to Goal, which is proved to be incredibly accurate, because it is £15.5 million that he's signed for in an upfront fee. He's going to be on £65,000 a week, more than double that of what Phil Foden's new 6-year deal was. So Real Madrid are taking him serious, very serious. So I'm thinking he might be in and around the Real Madrid squad. People are saying he's not going to get minutes. I guarantee right now Brahim Diaz, between now and the summer, will get minutes at Real Madrid. He might not get loads of starts because he's not going to be a first teamer, but he'll be in and around the team and also be on the bench, which is more than what he's been at Manchester City. And I imagine he'll be coming off the bench and probably be starting games like in the Copa del Rey if Real Madrid want to rest players, or in playing lower league teams in La Liga where Real Madrid want to rest players, particularly with a busy schedule with Champions League football coming up. There they'll look to use their squad, and there's one thing La Liga clubs don't really have, it's decent squad depth, and that's what Brahim Diaz is adding to Real Madrid, and they'll utilise that. So Brahim Diaz will probably slot in around the bench. Real Madrid only have around, 14, 15 very good to world-class players. the squad's 18, so you know what I mean, there's room to manoeuvre, there's a way for him to work with, which is more than what he is at Manchester City. Manchester City's got a very good squad of around 22, 23 players, not 14 or 15, so it's more difficult at Manchester City. Anyway, part of the deal, 15% sell-on fee for Manchester City, which is good, means that anything that they sell Brahim Diaz for, Real Madrid will get 15% of. So they're selling for 60 million, for example, then Manchester City, they're going to be making £9 million from that 60 million that Real Madrid sold him for. And apparently there's also a clause of 40% in there that if he leaves Real Madrid for Manchester United, it does say Manchester, but it's any other Manchester club, but considering the only two clubs that will probably ever be able to afford him will be Man City and Man United, that, you know, they're going to have to pay 40% in the sell-on fee. So if they went for £60 million, Manchester City would be able to get 24 million of that £60 million if he went to Man United. So it's pretty ridiculous. There's also £6.5 million in add-ons, so the deal's worth around £22 million overall. We've got 15.5 up front, and he'll probably get some add-ons with appearances, international appearances, Champions League wins, things like that. And to be honest, we're getting that much money for a player that only had less than 6 months left on his deal. It's a good deal for us. It's also a good deal for Brahim Diaz. He gets to move to Real Madrid. He gets to try and prove himself there. And if he gets game time and minutes and he proves himself to be very good, he could establish himself as a decent Real Madrid player. And that's good for him. And it's also great for Real Madrid that they've got themselves a quality young player and they've not had to wait until the summer and run the risk of not signing him for free because someone else comes in for him. So it's a good deal all round for everyone involved. AS in Spain, that's a source in Spain, they've also said that Brahim Diaz has got a release clause, because you've got to have a release clause in La Liga. All the players are starting to have their release clause upped, because teams are starting to pay their release clause for Brahim Diaz because he's got years and years and loads of potential and talent to offer. Real Madrid have put, get this, a €750 million release clause on him. So if you want to sign him, you have to pay €750 million to release that clause for you to be able to discuss a deal with Brahim Diaz. It's ridiculous. Next up, former Manchester City player Denis Suarez from our academy. He went over to Spain. He made a move to Barcelona, and apparently because he's worked with Unai Emery before, he wants to move to Arsenal. And according to Sky Italia, Denis Suarez is set to sign soon for Arsenal, so we'll keep an eye on that. We could be seeing Denis Suarez returning to Manchester City next month in our match with Arsenal. Next up, we're going to move on to Mangala, and there's some details with Mangala. Now, according to sources in Italy, they've been saying that Mangala is wanted by Inter Milan. They want him on a free loan where they'd pay his wage, and then they'd be able to sign him for free from a 3-year deal, if you get where I'm coming from with that. So basically what they do is they don't have to pay any fee. You have to pay a loan fee to sign a player. Rather than paying any fee, they're going to pay his wage instead. So Man City don't have to pay his wage in the summer, and then they'll be signing him permanently in the summer when he's a free contract, and apparently they want him on a 3-year deal, as Inter Milan apparently see this as a safe centre-back signing for them. Safe being the key word there, but it's also meant to be cheap for them, so I imagine it'd be a squad rotated player. However, Tuttosport in Italy have also said that Galatasaray are interested, and they want to beat Inter Milan to his signature, and they're willing to offer a fee and also pay his wage too. So we'll wait and see what Manchester City do with Eliaquim Mangala. Now, last but not least, on the out, we're dealing with Phil Foden. Pep has been in a press conference this week and said that Phil Foden won't be leaving on loan. His quote: "It's impossible." He's just signed a 6-year deal. He'll be integrated into the squad over the next 2 or 3 seasons to slot into Man City's midfield. He's got a great opportunity. I imagine Phil Foden just needs to be patient, give himself 2 or 3 seasons, see where he lies. If he's not getting the game time then he can leave. He's a quality young player, but he's got a wonderful chance here that if he is patient enough, he'll be able to earn himself a way into the Manchester City squad, just like Sancho could have, just like Brahim Diaz could have, but they want to push it forward and go now rather than wait 2 or 3 seasons. Phil Foden's committed 6 years, so he's obviously willing to wait, and hopefully he'll reap the rewards just like Sancho has at Dortmund, and I'm sure Diaz will at Real Madrid. Now, last but not least in the news, we've got some contract news, and Pep's confirmed that Manchester City are now in talks to extend Vincent Kompany's contract. We've got a testimonial for him in August. His contract's up on June 30th, so as of July 1st, he won't be a Manchester City player unless he signs a new deal. I'm wondering if we're going to put him on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal, but what Vincent Kompany has, captain fantastic, fantastic. He's a sensible head on his shoulders, and he's also a wonderful player who's still performing at the top level, and he showed against Liverpool that he can be a real quality centre-back. His only problem is his injury record. We don't get to see all that much of Vincent Kompany, but when he does play, he's vital, and he's useful to have around the youth players too. You always need a bit of experience. City's squad's so young, it's good to have some experience there, and it doesn't come much more experienced and much better than Vincent Kompany, who I think is now into his 11th year at Manchester City since signing in 2008, I think it was. 2007 or 2008 we signed, I think it was 2008. But yeah, he's been a wonderful servant at Manchester City. I can't imagine seeing Vincent Kompany in any other colour other than the sky blue at Manchester City. So Pep and Chicky, get that deal signed and get Vincent Kompany tied down to a new deal. There we go, it's been the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget, leave a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, press the bell and put your notifications on to be notified immediately when I've uploaded, so you can stay in the loop. We have got many more transfer updates coming throughout all of January, so stay tuned for that one. Any latest developments with incomings, outgoings and contracts, you'll be the first to know over at this channel, JSGC, so make sure you subscribe. Also, keep up to date with social media. I'll keep you up to date when I'm not uploading on here with all things Manchester City and all things JSGC. So check out my Twitter and Instagram in the description below, and I'll see you all again for the next video. So it's been JSGC. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. Peace. Ciao for now.